Hello, everyone. I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to the Wolf Podcast, where we'll be talking about the first OVA for Persona 5 the animation, Dark Sun. With me today is...
Hello, everyone. I am Mikami, says DMPhone 3000.
Hey everyone, this is FlOrangey.
Hey everyone, this is Mario Fanboy 15, aka that guy that even though it's been a few months, oh my gosh, guys, Joker's still gonna be in Smash.
Woo!
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah.
And
And the plant is here too.
yes,
Oh, yeah, the plant. And he's cool.
our Lord and Savior, the plant, that also fights Rathalos for some reason.
That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow because I still need to download it.
Yeah,
I
I need to play.
But yeah, we feel like we owe an apology.
Yeah, it's been a bit since we did the Wolf Podcast, and I did intend to get this episode out quicker, but computer problems, thanks to Cole and Dean here, I got a new computer, and not to mention, even after I got the new computer, several people got sick, including me, Zach, and Dean at different points.
At this point, I think I'm the only one who's immune to illness. Thanks, CBS.
wait, I got sick? I thought I didn't.
Oh, no, I think, yeah, you didn't get sick, but you know what I'm saying. We all basically had one thing or another keeping us from doing this thing.
Yeah, my refrigerator broke.
That too.
Yeah, because we tried to record the podcast at one point, and then Dean's fridge fucking broke. But anyways, let's move...
Electronics hate us this year.
I guess.
The
But-
machines will rise against us.
So Detroit become human?
Basically.
No, but that's trying to make peace. Wait, never mind.
Oh my god. Anyways, before anything else, any kind of comparisons that we make to the game and animation are purely done for analytical reasons. And to give a synopsis for the episode, basically it takes place, or the OVA, basically it takes place after the events of Ren's supposed murder attempt. We learned that pretty much that Ren wasn't killed, and it is explained rather well in the animation, about as well as it was in the game, so I'll give it that. And we pretty much learn about who the real main target is, which is Masayoshi Shido. So, of course, they go after Shido, basically to expose him of what he's been doing and basically prevent him from becoming prime minister of the country. And then the OVA pretty much ends with, well, basically almost nothing being changed after his change of heart.
Yep, you have to pretty much take down both Shido and Akechi.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this right now. This is up there as one of the worst episodes of the entire animation, at least in my mind.
Oh Lord, I am disappointed for many reasons.
Yeah,
I think that's the key word for most of this.
Yeah.
I'm not mad, just disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, except Nelson, he's just mad.
Well, that's
and disappointed.
Well, I have my reasons, but I'll leave that when it's my turn. So, Dean, start us off.
Oh boy, we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, so...
Speaking of Shido, or as Dean likes to call him, Mayoshi Shido.
Oh yeah, Masayoshi Shido.
Masayoshi. So how much are we going to be making fun of the subtitles this time around?
It is not going to end. I can say that much.
No,
well, at least in this episode, we don't have Ren Kira just randomly disembodied body floating like several inches off the screen.
That was the dumbest sort of... Well, that's an animation error, which I'd argue is worse.
Yeah, definitely. And especially
subtitles is just when you forget to use spell check.
Oh, man. But anyways, Dean, start us off with your general thoughts.
Okay. When I first watched this, when did that come out? Like December 29th, I think, or something? Way back when.
Yeah, way back near the end of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much only a few days before the year was over.
Yeah, which is, I guess, fitting, given the game. But when I first watched it, I just thought it's all right. There's, several things that I like about it. And, yeah, overall, I thought that it was okay at the time. But watching it now and, actually, processing it a bit more, they missed a lot of crucial details when it comes to the ending of this one that it all proves to be rather distracting a lot of the time. For some of it, it's just like, yeah, it's an adaptation. You can't really show everything there is there, but because you're at Endgame and because Persona 5 is so exposition heavy, especially around this part of the game, you kind of need all that exposition to be laid out in a way that makes sense and flows very easily so that, audiences can digest it.
I think you agree with me, Dean. It's kind of like we really didn't need a meanwhile at the Hall of Evil type scene.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that was very exposition. Sorry, that was like out of place for the game itself because it's like, oh, this kind of a conversation wouldn't be happening except for the fact that it's a game, like in any kind of realistic sense. And here they're doing it in an anime setting. Like, this just feels worse.
They didn't need it. That's kind of what I felt about that whole scene because, yeah, it made kind of bit of sense in the game just to show, yeah, this is what the bad guys were up to, but. In this one, I think they could have done something different, and we all know what that different thing is, as in Ren's backstory.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll dive into that one later. But I started noticing on the parts where I think this anime just kind of glances over like some crucial plot details, and when you're at a point where you're basically talking about like the most info that you're getting in from the game, you kind of shouldn't skip over so much of that info. And they skip around pretty much a lot in this whole OVA. I wouldn't say it's like super duper rushed because they did touch on like the key points within the stories. It's just that it felt like they skipped over a lot of things as a result, which leads to the OVA's detriment. I didn't hate this OVA, but I definitely was disappointed in plenty of regards.
All right, then, Cole?
Okay, so when I first watched the OVA, and I think half of it I almost watched with you, Nelson.
No, me.
With you, Zach. My apologies. But I do remember after I finished it, I posted, I think I said to Nelson, to quote Teddy, "Wow, this is awful."
Yup. That was exactly what you said back then.
Yeah. Having rewatched it, and just for context, I watched it with both Zach and Dean a few nights ago.
It made for good riffing material.
Yes,
yeah, I riffed where we both riffed it.
Yes, you guys riffed it to pieces. But overall, coming back from it, my thought is the same as Dean. It's disappointment, but also disappointment for another reason. It's more along the lines of, what was the point of making this an OVA?
Exactly. It's like, this is the big problem I have with Dark Sun. This should have been just a season 2. Because with the amount of information that was removed or just flat out just glanced over, this would have been far better off as like a season 2, because they could have easily turned finding Shido's palace into a full episode, and then they could have spent like an episode or two either going through it, learning about the information about the palace, and hell, even fleshing out the other confidants that they've never even touched in the anime.
I thought this was me talking.
Sorry, but I'm just like agreeing with you and saying like how I felt on that one.
Yeah, and truth be told, that is something when I sat down a little bit and I kept thinking this over and over, because I'm going to say this. I like the Dark Sun opening. I like how when we get to the chorus, we see all the confidants. And with some exceptions, like Makoto's and kind of On's, and some of On's, but not really, I've liked what they've done with a lot of these confidants. I loved how they handled Ryuji's. I loved how they handled Yusuke's. But that's the problem. At least it's one of the problems for me. We're near Endgame. We're getting a lot of cameos from these characters that Ren has barely hung out with. And it feels like this OVA is trying to tell us this is the big climax. This is where everything has come together. But there's nothing to back it up.
Exactly.
It feels like Cole. It feels like because whenever I saw one of the side comments in this OVA, kind of makes me go, "Oh, hi EY, bye EY, hi Shinya, bye Shinya."
Like, Mishima being the one to text Ren makes sense because arguably he's the only one whose confidant Ren has actually maxed out. Hell, if you want to take it for more context, technically he's still at rank 9 with Ryuji.
and not to mention, if I can say this right now, most of the other confidants that Ren hangs out with, they don't know that he's a Phantom Thief. Because there's the thing, like, I know this is a comparison, but I can say this real quick. In the game, when you reach rank 9/10, that's when your confidants begin to realize that you are, in fact, a Phantom Thief. Hell, you're the leader of the Phantom Thieves, but they back you up anyways. We don't see this with one of the best examples, Kawakami. Like, she literally... she literally asks Ren, why is he skipping out on school and shit?
Okay, yes, because that is something that in this continually has bothered me. Because we started Kawakami's confidant so early on, and in this one, we're seeing her getting him supplies. But in my honest opinion, this makes no sense with her not knowing that he's a Phantom Thief. I mean, granted, yes, because of the way her confidant works, she's not doing this kind of thing anymore, but you can still contact her and she still wears the outfit to go incognito.
Pretty much. I know this is more of a comparison than anything else, but we're bringing this up purely because the OVA tries to bring this importance of the confidants, but the anime as a whole did a terrible job in actually making them significant to the entirety of all this.
I feel like the one that actually has that's the most painful actually is Yoshida's.
Yes.
Because he is so and I've said this but even since the beginning of these podcasts and stuff, especially when we finally got to it in the anime, waiting so long to get to Yoshida was a big mistake. It was a horrible mistake because the entirety of the game is leading up to this election, and he as a politician is the perfect contrast for Shido, especially since at the climax we're dealing with Japan's general election.
Yeah, pretty much. And unfortunately, because we don't delve into Yoshida's like confidency, and we probably never will because there's only one more OVA left, I can pretty much say this without worrying about spoiling anything. Yeah, Yoshida's confidant is literally you learning about him being involved in a scandal, which led to him being known as No Good Tora. And literally through interacting with Yoshida, he gained, not only does he gain the confidence to basically, like, you know, continue with what he's doing despite the fact that many will still label him as such, but even like, you know, avoid the same mistakes that he made when he was younger.
Yoshida restored my faith in real life in politics. I'm just going to openly say that right here and now. So I think that's probably also why it stings so much. But he is so integral to at least the backstory of some of the themes in Persona 5, especially since you don't need to do him any favors for him to realize that you're a Phantom Thief. He comes to that conclusion based on your demeanor alone.
And the funny, and he's not the only, I can say, and let me say this real quick, Zachary. He's not the only confidant that plays an integral role to this backstory with Shido. Oya also plays an important role in this, and again, we don't get any kind of interaction with Oya throughout the entirety of the anime, besides the one mandatory one when they learn about
Kanashiro.
Thank you. I'm tired right now, so. Anyways, what were you gonna say, Zachary?
I was about to say, yeah, and plus Yoshida's confidant, you know, like Cole said, is unique in a way that he's like one of the only side confidants where he finds out you're a Phantom Thief, but not because of a Mementos request.
He just figures you out purely because of the way you handle things and otherwise.
But Nelson also brings up a really good point. In fact, depending on how soon you finish Oya's confidant, you know the name of the villain before you actually get to that part of the story, which just and ties everything together so well. And oh goodness gracious, I feel like I'm ranting on this OVA, but the more I realize how much we missed here, just the more frustrated I get and the more I keep wondering, why didn't they just make this anime 36 episodes long? Flesh out the most important parts of it, the things that we need in order to give us a proper conclusion, instead of just cramming everything into a 50-minute goddamn mess, which is exactly what it is when you think about it in hindsight.
This is why, I'll wait till after Zachary is done, but this is why I said, after I watched it again, I hate this OVA more than the first time I watched it. But I'll get into why that is after we're done with Zachary. But Cole, do you have anything else you want to add?
I have one more thing to say. I definitely have one more thing to say, but I'm taking up already so much time as it is, and I think this is probably the most I've rambled in a very long time about anything.
Well, the one more thing you want to say, Cole, is like a comparison or a general thoughts.
It's going to be a general thought. I think it'll fit better. I think I'll go into more detail in comparisons, but I have to say this as a general thought. For all the excellent effort this anime does making me like Akechi, this OVA just completely shits the bed on everything involving him. And if it weren't for the fact that this anime made me like Akechi, I wouldn't care, but I am absolutely furious and disappointed.
Cool. It's kind of like the opposite of the game, where it's just like, I did not care for Akechi. It's like, then the anime, I care about Akechi. Oh.
Like, as many grievances I have about this anime, the one thing it did right was Akechi. And then it just dropped the ball. Go ahead, Zach.
Well, first off, to say what you said earlier, you said this kind of thing needed to be 36 episodes. I'm just like, 36 sounds a bit much.
No,
that is a regular season of like an anime that has like 3 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. What she means that, remember that this anime was 26 episodes, so this should have had 10 extra episodes at the very least.
Hell, it could even just be 30, and we'll just be fine.
Yeah,
just
like
30 episodes.
This is why I said this should have been a season 2, not an OVA.
Yeah, but the first thing I want to say is, one of my biggest pet peeves, well, not really pet peeves, but one of my biggest problems is actually the way A1 tried to hype up this special. So like, hey guys, Dark Sun, get ready for Dark Sun. We're hyping this up, and it's just like, oh, really? You did all this promotional stuff just for this? I was just like, another one of my problems is that maybe because it's a result after watching Daybreakers, but I'm just like, wow. I'm just like, wow, for an OVA, the budget doesn't look that much better from the actual show.
No, it really doesn't. And yeah, this is considering that we watched Daybreakers before watching Dark Sun. It's sad when a single episode OVA, which is only 22 minutes, basically based on an irrelevant Mementos request, has a better budget and understanding of the idea behind what it wants to do compared to a 50-minute OVA.
Based on the finale.
Yeah, which it ain't even the finale. There's still one more OVA.
Yeah.
That immediately angers me. But anyways, Zach, continue.
Here's the thing: when me, Dean, Cole watched this for like the first 13 minutes, we were just like, okay, this is kind of all right, other than like the Morgana thing. But the moment they did the Rent thing with the lack of backstory, it's just like, things are going downhill from here.
You can feel them beginning to have to rush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the out of nowhere conversation of, oh, remember the slip up that Akechi did? I'm like, why is this being brought up now? Like, shouldn't that have been brought up during the conversation with Sai and Sojiro? How they even figured out Akechi was the traitor to begin with?
Oh.
Oh yeah, they did bring that up in the game, like within that I think they did bring it up within that area, actually.
Yeah, at the same time they brought up that Morgana can talk. Because that's when they brought up the point of Morgana was able to tell, Akechi heard of Morgana talking, but how could he if he's never been in a palace?
Oh, just wait. We had our own complaint in Can of Worms about the whole Morgana thing.
I think Dean actually voiced it best, so he should probably say it when we get to that part.
Yeah. The moment we get to differences, we'll have Dean say
Yeah,
it.
we gotta hurry this up. We're already 20 minutes in.
I don't care.
Oh, no problem. We'll take our time.
Oh, God damn it.
That wasn't intentional, honestly.
But honestly, this isn't really a difference. But it came to and really this is the problem with the anime as a whole. I'm just like, wow, these fights look really stilted.
And that's been a problem with the anime as a whole. None of the fights were ever that good.
Except for maybe the piggy bank, but that was about it.
It's like, I make comparisons to Dot Hack Sign a lot, and now that I've watched Dot Hack Sign again, I can make the comparison even strongly. You could tell that they try to focus more on the story of this anime more than the actual fights, but there's the problem. Persona
The fights aren't... Go ahead.
Yeah, say it, Cole, because I think you're about to say what I was going to say.
The fights in Persona are integral to the story.
Exactly. Whereas in something like Dot Hack, the fights aren't really all that important. They're set dressing, basically, because the whole idea of Dot Hack is that it's an MMORPG, but most of the characters spend their time more just talking and hanging out with each other than actually playing the fucking game.
Yeah. And pretty much in this instance, it's just like, guys, the fights are kind of unavoidable when adapting this.
Exactly, especially considering that their whole point is stealing hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing about this anime. It's just like, I'm kind of frustrated. Like Cole is, I am so disappointed. I'm not, but like I said, I'm not really that angry. I'm just really disappointed. But I'll say the rest of my thoughts for like comparisons.
Alright, because I've been holding this one back. Pretty much everything Cole, Dean, and Zach have said, that's how I initially felt with the episode when I first watched it. I felt disappointed because there was a lot of points and otherwise that were left on the wayside and yada yada yada. But when I watched it again, I began to realize something. This episode, well, this OVA, is meant to be a culmination of basically every element that was established or otherwise throughout the entirety of the animation. And it completely fucks it all up. Akechi's character, they completely fucked it up at the very end. It's like, the problem is they make Akechi way more interesting of a character, and they not only make us empathize with him, but then when it comes to the final part, the biggest problem that I had with it back in the game, I know there's a comparison, but I'm more talking anime, not game. They had a chance to fix one of the biggest problems with Akechi's character, and they fumbled it hard. Then, of course, you have Ren's backstory, which they've had many opportunities to talk about it. When he talked about it with Ryuji during the second episode, when it was brought up during the potluck, when it was brought up, like, there were so many times they could have easily explored Ren's backstory, but we never learn anything about it. It again gets dropped, and we never will learn the full backstory on that one. Which, just to say this for those who don't know, the whole idea behind Ren's backstory is that he sees Shido forcing himself onto a woman, and he tries to defend her. He causes Shido to accidentally fall over, cutting himself in the head, and that's when he decides to sue Ren. But what he does is that he manipulates the woman to basically say that he assaulted him. So when the cops came, she did exactly that, and that's what led to Ren being charged with assault. Shido even had the police make sure that his name was never brought up, and that's what led to Ren getting a year of probation.
Yeah, and Shido was an angry drunk man.
Yeah, exactly. He was drunk at the time. Mm-hmm. But then again, that would play into effect that whole idea of Akechi coming to Shido when he was at his lowest. that could be implied that that was when Shido was at his lowest, and that was when Akechi first approached him.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I'm trying to say. They could have easily explored this. And plus, imagine if they did explore this in the anime. Imagine if we did learn about Ren's backstory, and then it was brought up that Akechi found Shido at his absolute lowest and saw this as an opportunity to basically bring him back into power, so then Akechi could get it, and then we learn about Akechi's revenge plot.
Wait, Shido was already kind of in power when Ren was arrested for assault.
Well, he was a politician at the time, but he was already involved in a scandal. It took Akechi getting rid of the person involved in that caused the scandal in the first place for it to be dropped. It would make sense why he's drunk out of nowhere, because no other point in the game do we see Shido in this kind of a vulnerable state.
Well, the thing is that Shido is drunk because he's a man of power and influence. The world cannot touch him because of the state of where he is. Shido got to that position, however, because Akechi approached him 2 years before that.
Right, you're right. I'm dumb.
No, don't get me wrong, Nelson. In another world with a different written script, that could actually be something promising. But unfortunately, it's not canon.
Yeah, pretty much. But this is what I'm trying to say. There were so many ways this could have been employed, but regardless of anything, they never explored Ren's backstory, and it ends right after Shido's palace is, finished. And that's another story. So basically, we have Akechi's character, which basically falls short. Ren's backstory is never fully finished. We have the confidants that Cole brought up, which are never fully established, and they make them out to be like this important, integral thing when they really aren't, because the anime never touches upon many of the more important ones, like Yoshida and Oya.
Mm-hmm.
And then the OVA just ends. It just ends after Shido's change of heart.
And you know something? That cliffhanger would have been fine, in my opinion, if the OVA was actually any good.
Yeah, exactly. But because there are so many missed opportunities, that's this OVA in a nutshell. They're missed opportunities and failed executions. And and this is the biggest problem. Like, this actually leads us to comparisons and differences, because I need to say this real quick.
I think Zach wanted to say something.
Well, I was going to say, I thought Dean was going to bring something up, like the first thing.
But I need to say this real quick. I really do.
Okay.
The reason why I say this OVA is a lot of missed opportunity as well, because unlike in the game, the anime cuts out 80% of Shido's palace. We only get to see 2 of the shadow characters, and even then, we don't even get to hear much behind them. We only learn about the TV station with Okumura and the fake Medjed. That's it. But here's the thing. Even after that, the game establishes further that all these people that you're going after, all these people that you are taking down, they're influential and big benefactors to Shido in a variety of different ways. Letting you know that Shido has influence in media, in media, in illegal and legal areas. Like, his influence is fucking everywhere. So it just gives you more and more reason to be like, if this guy becomes prime minister, this country and possibly the world is fucked.
I'm so disappointed we didn't get the Yakuza shadow guy.
Yeah, because
he was actually the best one.
Yeah, he was cool too.
Yeah, and not to mention it establishes that Shido has influence in more illegal areas, and I'm just like, dude, this guy literally has connections everywhere. Imagine if he does become prime minister.
And I just realized.
Oh, go ahead.
And I just realized EY's confidant not being covered with that information makes me even more frustrated, because EY's confidant literally has to do with the Yakuza.
Oops.
Pretty much.
Which makes me realize, and I didn't notice this before, EY's former comrade that was smuggling illegal weapons from China into Japan, specifically guns. What if he was working for Shido?
Likely.
Oh.
Yeah. Very likely, because if there's one thing I've noticed many of the confidants do actually have connections to Shido. In fact, many of the palaces that the Phantom Thieves went after have connections to Shido, which some of them were established in the OVA, like Kanashiro's money going to Shido's like campaign funds, and the same thing goes for Madarame's counterfeiting business.
Yeah, from what I can tell, apparently Kamoshida is arguably the only one that didn't have a connection, but he's technically stage 1 boss anyway.
Exactly, and even then, you also have Okumura who wanted to get into the political field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like most of the shadow palaces had some type of connection that's still related back to Shido, in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Even size.
Well, think about it. She was being manipulated by the SIU, who basically is being controlled by Shido.
And remember that Sai is probably the one that's like the closest to actually like cracking the whole case. So they would want to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so still a connection to Shido. I mean, the SIU director gets killed during the episode. Same thing in the game.
Yeah, remember loose ends.
And speaking of the SIU director, it's just like, wow. Granted, this is in the game as well. It's like, wow, your entire purpose was just to be a ruse.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Another comparison that I want to bring up, and I think this is the one that I know Dean wants to talk about, Morgana.
Oh,
okay, Dean, take it away.
Yeah, this is the one that I've actually like noticed, and the one that I've actually went into a, I guess, vent or something. When we watched it last night, and the way they handled like the whole Morgana situation is very hand waved in the anime, and I thought that for both story reasons as well as an explanation reasons, they both basically diminished on what Persona 5 established in its own personal lore and simplified it in a way that it creates a major plot hole within the anime.
Yeah, because go ahead, Zachy.
Well, I thought we were still on Dean. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm just chiming in real quick, because in the game, it's established that Morgana can talk. Like literally, they're like, "Are you talking to the cat?" And they're like, "Yes, Morgana can talk." And they actually explained that's one of the reasons they were able to find out Akechi was the traitor, which was, Akechi heard Morgana talking about delicious pancakes, but nobody else in the group talked about it.
Let's let Dean finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that is one of the things that came up for it. The explanation that they had, or lack thereof, is that Akechi had to have been in a palace, and that's it. But that's incorrect. The way that Morgana was actually like able to talk. The reason why that Morgana is able to talk is because you had to have listened to him actively listened to him in the metaverse and heard him speak. That way your cognition is able to basically rewrite itself in a way that you're able to interpret Morgana. But the way that the anime like implies as well as not explain it is just you had to have been in a palace, which is a major issue. If it's that simple, then Sai should have been able to listen in on Morgana.
Yeah,
because she's been in her own palace.
Yeah,
or in the metaverse.
Even for a short time, she was in a palace for a short time, but she still can't understand Morgana. Yeah, it like Dean said, it explained in the game that you have to hear him talk. And it's very easily implied that Akechi probably heard Morgana talk at some point or another.
And in the game, we know what that some point is. It's when... unless you want to continue, Dean, because technically this is your stand.
Well, you're about to say that technically the time that was supposed to happen was in Madarame's palace.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because in Madarame's palace, it was hinted that a black masked individual is hunting around inside his palace, and I believe they even showed him off in the game, if I'm correct.
I think in a flashback. No, they only had Madarame say the flashback was Madarame saying, "What about the man in the black mask?"
Yeah, exactly, and that was established, and that was before the school trip, if I'm not mistaken.
That was before the school trip to the TV station. I believe.
So it would make sense, because if there's a guy with a black mask moving about, it would imply that maybe they were checking they were checking around to see who was doing this kind of thing. Because in the anime, Akechi is first made aware of the Phantom Thieves as early as Kamoshida's palace, after his change of heart. In the game, however, it's never really established that he's actively looking after the Phantom Thieves until after Madarame's palace.
Yeah, and within that whole section as well, that's when Akechi mentions the whole pancakes thing, and after Morgana pretty much mentions it. So that is one of your biggest hints that Akechi isn't, what he says he is.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, in the anime though, we were never told about the Black Mask individual until Kanashiro's palace.
Exactly.
So we miss out a lot of crucial steps in the matter. And my guess is that Dark Sun tried to mitigate this in a way to try and make it a little simpler for people to digest. But because they made it simpler, it creates an inconsistency and a plot hole.
It does.
And not just one that you can just brush away, because plot holes in stories are expected.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about teenagers that uses a phone app to change people's heart, for God's sakes.
Yeah, plot holes, in my opinion, and this is because of listening to people complain about plot holes all the time. Plot holes are fine if they,
Cinema Sins cough.
God damn it, Dean. But you're not wrong. Plot holes are inevitable in a story, and they're perfectly fine so long as they don't break your suspension of disbelief. Or in the case of something like, say, Kingdom Hearts, it's the mess that is part of the charm. But this is something that once you settle down and realize, you can't really ignore it.
Yeah, because this is... Oh, wait.
Especially considering that the game does a perfect job in establishing not only the fact that Morgana can talk, but keeping along the line of the world's rules.
Yes, this is within lore reasons, within Persona 5's established rules. And if you break those rules, then your story kind of falls apart a little.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. By not explaining Morgana can talk in the animation, and then hand waving the rules as, if you go into a palace, you can hear Morgana talk. That just it doesn't explain it properly, and it doesn't explain how they were able to catch Akechi. And even then, they don't explain that shit until halfway through the special.
And the crazy part is that they could have easily fixed this by being by simply having Sai just being able to hear Morgana.
No,
yeah,
it would be. Yeah,
it's not consistent with the game, but it makes sense within the rules they've established.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It would, because if they're going to make it you just have to be in a palace to hear Morgana, then yes, it would make more sense. Mm-hmm. At least in terms of the anime. In terms of the game, it's, again, if you heard him talking in the metaverse, your cognition changes so that you can actually hear him in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's a more simplified explanation, but at least you would have made it work within the OVA. But because they didn't go through that mile, unfortunately, that explanation falls apart, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I need to bring up, and I know Zachary will want to say some things on this one, I absolutely despise how they've made Sojiro's importance in the entirety of the anime way less than it actually was in the game.
I had grievances on this too, but I think Zach has more issue with it than I, because there's something specific I do want to talk about when we get to it.
Alright, so Zach, you say what you want to say on this one.
So everyone has a bone to pick with this.
And for different, and I know Zachary wants to do this one because he loves fucking Sojiro.
Dude, who doesn't?
You love fucking Sojiro?
Oh, stop it, Dean!
Oh. Yeah,
all right, you stop.
All right. This is definitely the one podcast, all right?
All right, Jared watches this.
Dean, go to the corner.
Okay.
And there's a Discord group now.
Oh. Yeah, Dean, go to your own Discord group.
Okay.
Anyway, Zach, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, uh, okay, what I have to say is, it's not just this. This is a general problem the anime has been doing with Sojiro, but especially at this point when he's at his most important. It's just like, oh, it's like him being involved with the government and in politics and knowing Shido. Let's just pretend he doesn't know Shido at all. This isn't important. Nope, not important at all.
To give some context to Zach's rant, in the game, Sojiro used to work in the same branch as Shido, and actually, so did Wakuba, for that matter.
And that's how Sojiro met Wakuba.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that's what led to Sojiro also beginning to understand why Futaba would say Wakuba was murdered, not that she committed suicide, because he actually brings up the research that Wakuba was doing, and even talk about that there were people that really wanted it.
It also doesn't also help. I believe Cole says to me a few nights ago. It doesn't help that the felt like in this OVA, Sojiro just feels like the bumbling oaf.
Yeah, exactly. Even he says it himself, like, "Oh, this is way over my head." I'm like,
but everything with Shido, he should understand.
Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm. He really should, but that's a general problem. That's the general problem with this animation in general.
Gosh dang it, Cole.
Am I wrong?
What'd she say?
Hashtag Shoujo deserves better.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And the sad part is this. This is a general problem we've had with the anime from the word go. Sojiro's character has never been anywhere close to how it was established in the game, and it never gets to that point. He never hits that point of being the kind of guy that, yes, he's hard on everyone and otherwise, but he has a reason for that, but he cares deep down.
It's kind of funny, really, considering a lot of people, I think us included, liked how in the first episode Sojiro seemed nicer. But in the end, it just seems like, looking at how he's portrayed through the rest of the anime, it just doesn't seem like he just doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like, holy crap, does it bother me how nonchalant he is to a lot of this stuff. Or even like, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
It's so bad, and it's more noticeable here because, again, when the whole, here's the thing, they don't know who they don't know anything more than the name Shido. They don't know the guy's first name, but that's when Sojiro brings up, you don't mean Masayoshi Shido, do you? And even talks about how he was interested in Wakuba's research and yada yada yada, which would give them reason to believe, yeah, it's probably the same guy.
Mm-hmm. And Shosho also brings up the fact that Shido is the type of guy who pretty much steps on everyone, no matter how small they are.
Which would make sense for Ren's backstory, since, again, he fucking caused a teenager to go into a year of probation.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying Shido's always been like this.
That is one comparison I will say. That is one difference I will say, though. I do like that they have that Ren sees Shido's rally with Sojiro rather than with, Ryuji and otherwise, because, again, that's, Ryuji's character being... Again, animation does a great job with Ryuji's character.
Ryuji and Haru, right?
Yeah, again... They do a good job with Ryuji's character in this episode, especially considering that, one, they didn't make him needlessly aggressive towards Shido in that rally. Yes, let's draw attention to the guy that was supposedly, committed suicide. And then, of course, when he saves the day and they kick his ass and knock him out in front of the Diet building.
Yeah, I was about to say. Speaking of one other comparison, I do like how they handle Ryuji at the end of the episode where he doesn't get beat up by everyone.
Yeah, only the girls.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the thing. It's like the few comparisons that I could give this episode that are good are very minor comparisons. Like, I do like the fact that when Shido was doing his speech to the Phantom Thieves, we actually saw like a crowd of the same people clapping. I was like, well, that's a nice little, like, effect for, like, theming for effect.
And speaking of like Ryuji at the end, I was kind of like, they're kind of like, oh, why don't Ryuji? It's just like, guys, you literally just need to turn around. You can see his feet.
Yeah, you can literally see him.
Behind you.
That's
behind you.
That made me laugh way more than it should have, because I'm just like, these guys are getting all teary-eyed and he's just knocked the fuck out, not even 5 feet away from them.
It's like, I can't believe Ryuji's fucking dead, and he's just like in the background.
By the way, guys, my computer froze for a split second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can still
Yes,
hear
we can
you.
hear you.
Okay, thank goodness. Ugh.
Oh my god, but that's what I mean. It's like the few comparisons that are actually good, they're very small, and that's what's sad. Oh yeah, and don't even get me started with Akechi himself. That's the biggest bone. I'm gonna bring this up. I feel like I need to bring this up because we're also about to be 50 minutes in.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
I'll say this right now. In the game, the way they handled Akechi's character was literally the idea of, we see him every now and again, but they don't really develop his character very well, to the point that they try to make you sympathize with him. And I've said this to everyone in here, and I'll say it here now. Fuck that. I'm not going to sympathize with a murderer who had no qualms with what he did because Daddy didn't love me.
Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Costa, this is the part she wanted to bring up.
I think, though, what I'm talking about might be a little bit different from Nelson, so if he wants to finish, he can.
Okay.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's leading up to that. But here in the animation, they establish Akechi's character, actually gives us a good relationship between him and Ren, and even allows us to learn more about Akechi himself in a more natural way compared to the game itself.
Wait, this actually was what I wanted to talk about.
Well, then
My mom was a whore.
Then you didn't take over from where I'm saying.
Okay, so this is the comparison and difference that I do want to talk about, and it's kind of the thing I do want to get off my chest. Most of the interaction that we have with Akechi is relatively the same. Like, his breakdown, his freak out. There's a little bit less there, but that's basically like saying that this anime is shallow.
Yeah.
The fact that this doesn't change is what bothers me. And I'm not, because normally when we compare comparison and differences, we talk about how the anime did this instead of the game. This is a scenario where the anime does the same thing as the game, but because they changed stuff from before, not only does it feel like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is an insult to Akechi's character.
Yeah, they clash.
Ouch.
They totally clash.
And the thing, and there's so many things with with this whole confrontation that bother me, because it's like, I guess I can kind of see Akechi's anger at how, despite the fact that Ren has the criminal record, he's been able to, for the record, in Akechi's actions basically with psychotic breakdowns and mental shutdowns, there's no justifying it. I'm just going to state that right here and now.
Agreed.
But
Pretty much.
But, yeah, it's like there's no justification for stooping to murder. Unless, debatably, except for self-defense. But Akechi's never hasn't acted in self-defense. Not the point, though. Like, because we got the extra stuff that we have for Akechi in the previous episodes, I can definitely see his envy for Ren, who, despite having a criminal record, was able to get a large social circle. Whereas Akechi's a bastard child who tried to basically be loved and appreciated, but because that label is on him, that's never going to happen. Japan's society is so emphasized on family that parents can put their children in orphanages, but not put them up for adoption because they want to keep the family name. It's horrifying. You're lucky to get into foster care if you're in Japan.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things. It's like, they could have easily changed up the way this entire exchange would have been done. It's like, it doesn't justify the fact that he's basically murdered and otherwise some people, but it would make you understand more why his mindset and how he became so twisted.
The anime does so much better at explaining how Akechi is the way he is, just by treating him like the social link or confidant that he should have been in the game. This actually, for me, makes his death in the game go from, oh, well, that happened, to this doesn't make any sense because of the changes they made to the fight itself. There's a lot of one-on-one here. In the game, Akechi's death can arguably be because they were too tired. There is no excuse for the anime to play the redemption equals death trope so straight. It's because they went out of their way in order to flesh out this originally dull and boring character.
Exactly.
I despise that trope with every fiber of my being, because death is fucking cheap. The best way for Akechi to atone would have been to rejoin the Phantom Thieves, take down Shido, take down I can't say anything else because spoilers, redacted, plot, boss, redacted, whatever, and then turn himself in and pay for his crime for the something years, months, whatever they give him. I don't know. I don't care. But he should atone for his crimes by living.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
the reason I feel this way is because the anime gave us the Akechi, at least for me, the Akechi that I wanted.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's just like, you're just kind of like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wanted Akechi to live.
I wanted Akechi to live because this is an Akechi that, even though I despise the methods that he came to, I want him to become a better person. Whereas the Akechi in the game, I don't care about, because the game did not give me the time, energy, or reason to care. Like, I say that I like Adachi in Persona 4, but I like Adachi because of how batshit insane he is. I like Akechi in the anime because the anime actually gives me the chance to get to know him by actually having Ren hang out with him. Whereas in the game, of course, we got the whole, here, have some tea. My mother was
My mom was a whore.
Whereas in the anime, the Akechi Goro opening up to Ren is handled so naturally in the anime, as organic as the anime can allow, considering its story pacing problems, its not so stellar budget, etc., that I actually wanted to see this character go through positive character development. I wanted to see him get his revenge on his father and go on to be a better person.
Oh, and speaking...
anime denies me that by feeling like it needs to stick to the status quo of the game. And it doesn't help that we were told that this anime was going to have some kind of deviation, but it turns out we're not getting that in the end.
And I don't even know what the deviation was supposed to be. Like, is it supposed to be like, oh yeah, Akechi is a better character now? Or is it the whole Yusuke thing?
Anyways, Zach, you wanted to say something?
And speaking of redemption main stuff, you were talking about like one fight call. It's kind of like, why? How come none of these other characters? They're not. How come they're not saying Akechi? They're clearly not that tired out just from fighting the two moves.
And not even Ren is tired, because not long after the Akechi fight, he fucking solos Shido like he's nothing. Even saying that he's not on the same level as him. Like, I'm gonna say this right now, the way Ren handled both Akechi and Shido was like how Zachary beat Persona 3, having every single fucking character at level 99.
Yeah, I actually have to be honest, I don't like how OP Ren is in Persona 5, because it feels like there's no more tension.
Exactly,
Yeah.
They made him too dude, the persona he had that he used against Shido is literally the persona people make to make themselves invincible.
Yeah. And it's like, I know sometimes we have our odds when it comes to the Persona 4 anime, but I still vaguely recall, even with how powerful that you got, he still struggled. at times.
Yeah, the whole point in Persona 4 is that he has the wild card ability and whatnot, but he still gets knocked on his ass a lot,
And
and
not
he has
just
to rely on his friends. That's the whole point of Persona 4.
and
Just
yeah,
just out of curiosity, was Makoto this OP in the Persona 3 movies?
not really. It's like he was very versatile, but no, he definitely relied on his friends just as much as they relied on him.
Yeah, but he tried. I mean, God bless his soul, he tried to solo everything, but he
Yeah,
failed,
like you
obviously.
remember the first movie, Zachary, where
Yes.
the two shadows that he had to fight, even with all the different personas he had, he was still getting the shit kicked out of him.
Mm.
Yeah, and the thing is about
Yeah, go ahead.
the thing is about Persona 5 is that I get Ren is supposed to be like uber confident in this, in this sort of setting. I get that, but even in the game, like even him having that whole confident persona, you still had to rely on your friends a lot, with the distracting the enemy, and of course you have to fight as a team. So
That was the big thing. It's like they literally said it in the game. The only reason they beat Akechi is because they tag teamed him.
and that was the point, and actually why they beat Akechi.
And that was actually one of the excuses why Akechi is special. Why, if if it wasn't for all of them being together like they were, they wouldn't be able to beat him. Like on their own, they're not powerful enough to take on Akechi, but as a group, they can do it.
Holy shit, you're right. Now I'm even more mad.
Yeah, So here we have Ren basically saying, "I got this," and beating Akechi in his berserk form, basically.
He doesn't even go berserk.
Yeah, he doesn't.
God,
He doesn't
right.
he doesn't turn himself psychotic. That's what made him tired. If you think about it, him going psychotic and then getting beaten by them is what made Akechi so weak that he couldn't fight back against his own cognition and the shadows.
Yeah. It's kind of like in the anime. It's like, Akechi is able to kill his cognitive. They didn't shoot each other at the same time. So I'm just kind of like, okay, so why not everyone else just help Akechi with the mooks?
Yeah, either help him with the mooks or, just like even Ren could probably just like drag Akechi out of there.
Like
Yeah.
when in the anime, specifically the anime, not the game, but in the anime, there is nothing after Akechi shoots his cognition stopping Ryuji, Morgana, or even Makoto, or even Haru for that matter, from summoning their persona and attacking the shadow guards while someone else grabs Akechi. There is in the game him closing the shutters kind of makes sense. They're all exhausted. They don't have time. In the anime, Joker's the one who could only probably be considered even mildly worn out. And I'm sorry, but Joker is turning into a terrible power fantasy character.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing that's stopping him.
Yeah, because there's the trick, though. In the fighting, because remember, when you fight Akechi, it's technically 3 fights. The 2 shadows that he causes to go berserk, the fight against him in his normal crow form, and then him again with Loki and him going psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying, like, so it's technically 3 fights. Yeah, at that point, the group is fucking wiped.
Cool. I believe you said this to me a few nights ago. It's just like, why not have one of them, drag Akechi and have like Morgana shoot like the thing that the shutter.
Yeah, and actually, come to think of it, that would make up for the fact that we didn't get that moment with Morgana in the Akumura arc. To be fair, we technically didn't need it in the Akumura arc because the Akumura arc in the game is so fucking poorly written, it's ridiculous. But that would have been we could have definitely gotten a Morgana moment from that.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now you kind of get what we're trying to say. It's like, the way this anime approached Akechi's character was really refreshing and made us like Akechi as a character, but then they fumbled at the very end hard and just went back to what happens to him in the status quo, and it's like, oh, this is such a terrible, terrible missed opportunity.
Yeah, where they could have easily had, changed it and no one would have minded.
it's really kind of like I think I said this last night. It's kind of amazing how the changes the anime made to Akechi has resulted in at least partially our change in opinion regarding his character. And it just makes me mad that in the end they basically just dropped a piano on his head.
Yep, and
because like I think back to all those times whenever Akechi would show up and we would like groan, or then when we finally got the episode with Akechi in it, we were like, worst episode ever, jokingly, but in all seriousness, how we were like, oh, we like this, like if they keep doing this, we could like Akechi. I confess, by the end of the anime, I liked Akechi. Good job, A1. You did one thing right, and then you screwed it up.
Yeah, because if you realize if anybody's been watching this podcast since the first episode, if there's one thing you'll notice is that some of our favorite episodes are the ones where they use Akechi's character in a way that was never done in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And honestly, when you put that list together, that I think it was top 5 or top 10 list. Nelson, top 5. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of the episodes that heavily featured Akechi ended up being on there.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that they end up on there. One of them, I wouldn't be surprised. It's like top 3.
Yeah, I was about to say because I remember the episodes where that heavy feature Akechi that we really loved was the Yusuke episode and the Shoujo Confidants episode.
Yes, both of them.
Yeah, so
the Shoujo Confidant episode is the one where we talk about where we mentioned how opening up Akechi's backstory was done right.
And not to mention, we also delve into the idea that while Akechi doesn't agree with the Phantom Thieves' methodology, he was willing to go along with it this one time purely because he could relate to Futaba's situation.
I still believe the fanon idea that Futaba and Akechi are half siblings.
Oh my god.
No. But,
they both have the same blood type, which is a very rare blood type in Japan, for the record.
But anyways, I think we've spent enough time on comparisons. We're already an hour in.
One thing I want to say, I believe you mentioned this off air, Nelson. One thing I want to say, even though the fight against Ishido itself didn't look that great, I remember you mentioning the fact, hey, they got to show off Atlas.
Yeah, that was cool. But then again, that was cool, to see that because Alice just does not get as much love as she deserves in terms of Persona.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, that can be said about a lot of different Personas than otherwise. So, but anyways, I think we're done with comparisons and differences, and you can see how passionate we all got. We all had a different bone to pick.
There's a reason we saved Akechi for last.
Yeah, we all had a bone to pick. But anyways, now we're on to the final part of this. Is this a good episode for casual watchers and fans? So, Dean, take us away.
Jack and no. Okay. All right. Let me be constructive for this one. I may have thought that this episode wasn't, the worst thing ever, but there were a lot of details that they missed, and I think that does sour the experience of Persona 5 overall, because one of the key things about Persona 5 is, of course, its story. And the problem is that when you have something that is super exposition heavy and something that has a lore that is so tightly knit that even the smallest crinkle in it can break the whole thing in half.
Hi, Morgana.
What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Morgana. But even with that, you have to make sure that you have tightly knit your own story. Even if you want to make a tiny bit of change, which we have mentioned that we would have liked it if Akechi did live in the end. But you have to also have it make sense. And you also have to make sure you stay true to that lore, even if you have to abridge it slightly to a point that makes sense. Unfortunately, for general audiences, you won't be getting everything to a point where things do make sense to you. Something like Persona 4 can get away with this because most of that is revealed throughout the story, and you get to put the pieces all together this way. But the thing is about Persona 5 is that it establishes a lore in a way that that it's used as a plot point, and in a way that can actually cleverly make it so the plot actually moves forward. missing some of those details does diminish that quality, unfortunately. So with that, for general audiences, I can't really recommend this too much because as exposition heavy as it is, you can't get all of the details within 50 minutes, which you could have done if you've taken your goddamn time.
Take your time.
Yep. 50 minutes, I think, would have been fairly reasonable to actually, like, showcase, like, pretty much the setup for, the Shido Palace and all that. You skipped over so many of the things to a point where it loses the intrigue and it loses pretty much on the mystery on what this final villain is supposed to be. Hell, they skipped over how they came across the whole thing about the palace being a fucking ship.
I forgot to bring it up. It's just like, wait, how do they know this?
Exactly.
They did
but you want to know why they didn't? Because they didn't bring up Ren's backstory. That's where he figures it out.
Ignoring the fact that I don't know how he would have remembered that specific line of dialogue from over a year ago. Yes, finding out that it's a ship is absolutely integral to learning Ren's backstory and to how he got arrested.
Yep, and they skipped over it. So, I can't really recommend this for general audiences, in a way, because, well, you will be missing out on a lot of things on genuine plot threads. That's not even going over the things they actually did show and how a lot of it just ended up incredibly disappointing in the end. Especially if you like the catchy. I pray for the folks that really like the catchy in the anime to bless his soul for this one. God damn. I feel so sorry for them.
And as for fans of Persona 5?
Ugh. Do I even have to say it? We are all disappointed. If you're a fan of the game, you're going to be disappointed, and you will notice those wrinkles that'll happen in the curves.
But don't you know, Dean, I saw this when the special first came out. But don't you know, Dean, people are just like, I don't care if they skipped over Shio's palace. I hated that palace.
The palace sucked. I'm not going to mince words here. It's my least favorite palace in the game. But still, it's the most relevant one and actually does establish on why Shido is an important force in this whole damn thing.
Also, if you replay the game after doing Shido's palace, several of the people you talk to in the palace, they're at the buffet.
Wow.
Yes. Shido has literally been hovering over us since we beat Kamoshida.
Yeah, since day one.
Exactly. Just like Nelson said, the palace does a good job of showing how entrenched, thanks to his mental shutdown business, Shido has gotten within Japan's government and how much control he has over Shibuya. Which means regardless of the quality of the palace, it is the most plot important palace in the game. It's literally where everything comes together.
Yeah, the palace sucks. We're not going to mince words on that, but it is goddamn important.
Mm-hmm. Those rat mazes can go to hell.
Those blow.
Yusuke didn't make a mice pun in the OVA. We're special ever.
Oh, believe me, there's plenty more reason to hate it from there. So, for fans of Persona 5, you're gonna fucking hate this.
All right, Cole.
As always, I'm noticing Dean has basically beaten me to the punch.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. But I will make one change. I do recommend this for general audiences only because this is Endgame. Because you have to watch this in order to be able to watch the next OVA. But I continue to emphasize my statement of what was the point in making this an OVA? What was the point? Because we are losing so much context for this that it seems like in the end it was a cash grab, a fucking cash grab to make us wonder, ooh, what are they going to do? And they dropped the ball hard. I'd recommend this for general audiences if they want the abridged version of the climax, or the first climax for Persona 5. And nothing else. If you don't have time to watch, like, technically 6 hours of the game, and I don't blame you, because that's 6 hours.
And the palace sucks.
Yeah. Then by all means, watch this one. But if you're confused, Persona 5 Wiki, TV Tropes page, YouTube. Please, if you are confused, look for look for additional information, because there's so much extra. Because the anime makes a fucking plot hole that wasn't even there in the game. The palace. Yep.
Yeah.
As for fan, what is it, Zach?
Oh, I just want to say, when you're just like, what, why was it even the point? It's just like, yeah, why was it even, what was even the point of hyping this special up so much? We're almost advertising.
Because the intro is pretty.
The intro was good.
Yeah.
And what bothers me, because it's just like, oh, you hype up this OVA, but yet I have barely seen any promotion for the second OVA.
Oh, man.
As for fans, I know there's people that are happy Akechi got killed off. I'm not even going to deny it. But for fans, no. The game is better. No. Move on. I swear to fucking Christ. You know, I was disappointed with this yesterday, but now I'm just fucking mad.
Wow.
I'm serious. I am livid because Persona 5, because of the issues that it talks about, it's very much a game for the modern climate. Even if it's mostly talking about shit that's going on in Japan, most of this stuff is happening over here. This game deserved a better adaptation.
And for Pete's sake, it takes place in the year 2016.
2016 fucking sucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, Zach, you're up.
Oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to top that.
Yeah, we set the bar high.
Yeah. General watchers, pretty much like Cole said. Oh, I only say yes if you want to watch. If you only want to watch Endgame's like a very abridged version, because Shio's Palace kind of sucks. But as for fans, no. The game is so much. The game is so much more better. Even if Shio's Palace does suck, it's worth it.
Also, the fight against Shido is fucking awful.
Yeah,
the only good thing about it was that the only good thing about it was that Haru attacked him with her goddamn axe. You're awesome, Haru. Thumbs up.
Metal as fuck.
Metal as fuck. You attacked him and you hurt him without even getting hit with the reflect.
Yeah, lucky you, because that's how I died. I got hit with rage and then got reflected.
Aw.
Haru is a badass in this anime.
630 damage. God damn it.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add.
Okay, so now it's me. General watchers, this is a necessity, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I've said this many times over in my My Little Pony reviews and otherwise. What makes an episode even worse is when it's not only bad, but it's necessary.
Hi, Rainbow Falls.
Yeah, like this OVA is necessary if you want to understand what's going to happen next. Yes, I know someone could make the argument of, oh, you could just look it up on YouTube or some shit, like cutscenes on YouTube and such, but unfortunately that also kind of has the different paradoxical problem, which is certain events that are like that happen in the game don't correlate to the anime and what they're doing.
Yep.
So unfortunately, this is a necessity to watch, but this is a terrible episode by every definition. So this is kind of why I said this episode is up there as one of the worst episodes of the entire anime. Because not only is it necessary, not only does it have plot holes, not only does it fuck up so many different elements and not even capitalize on different story elements, but like I said, you have to watch this. If you don't, you're missing an important part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
This is necessary. So yes, I would not recommend this to casual watchers, but you have to watch it if you want to understand the story up to this point. How
Like,
Ren,
Go ahead.
like how Ren survived the suicide, the real main bad guy, and the lead up to basically what's going to be the final OVA.
Like, I'll admit this here. I know a couple of people, regardless of problems with Persona 5 the anime, have enjoyed it. And if they do enjoy this OVA, congratulations. No, I genuinely mean that. If you do find that you like this OVA, whereas we didn't, that is absolutely awesome. Because we wanted to like this.
Yeah, I'll say that right now. I don't think any of us went into this anime wanting to hate it, unlike a lot of other people within the Persona community.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we kind of fell for it because of the way the marketing was hyping this up.
Actually, I really felt kind of nervous.
I was nervous too. I was being very hesitant about it, but that's why I'm saying, like, all right, let's see what you got. And I just came out of it angry.
Yeah, I will say this, Nelson. Do you remember, like, in previous podcasts, like whenever we got a really bad episode of Persona 5 the animation, we were just like, oh, I'm extremely worried, what's gonna happen next. I'm gonna be like, I swear that this next OVA is like a masterpiece of some kind. This is gonna be the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, we kind of had that pattern where it was like, oh, this is going to be the one with a catchy, where it was like, I think with 12, when we saw the preview to 13, we were like, oh, God, this is going to be major catchy focus, but we liked it. On the flip side, we mostly liked episode 26, and look what we got.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like, we don't know how they're going to follow up after this. I mean, we know what's going to happen next, but we'll have to see how they handle it in terms of an OVA, but yeah. As for fans of Persona 5 itself, God, no. Like, fuck no would I recommend this to a fan of Persona 5. Like,
Unless you want to see Akechi die again, but even then, that's disappointing.
Exactly. You
Yep.
have the game. And even then, you can always look up cutscenes on YouTube. Like, I hate to say it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, there are plenty of channels that upload just purely cutscenes and otherwise on YouTube.
I thought you were gonna say anime scenes.
No, I'm talking about actual scenes in the game and such. But you know what I'm saying, like.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a fan of Persona 5, God no, would I recommend this for you, because this makes so many mistakes, and not to mention, if you loved many of these characters, man, seeing them not having the development and otherwise that they should at this point will anger you. Like, quite honestly, it's like I said, this anime made me like Akechi, but then they fucked it up. Whereas the game, I could care less about them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the biggest sad part. It's like, so I would not recommend this to either party, but I feel like for a casual watcher, it's more important for them to watch it compared to a fan, because the fan of Persona 5 at least has the game.
That is very true.
Yep.
Although
you should be happy that they did skip over like all the boring and stupid parts of the dungeon.
Yeah. At the very least, but still.
Yeah,
but yeah.
The mouse puzzles, I'm glad that... Oh, I just realized something. Technically, the anime made the third-rate hacker wannabe that actually wasn't good at anything more badass by making him shut down the entirety of Shibuya.
Yeah, but then we joked that he was probably a fluke.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, pretty much. But
yeah, we'll say sorry.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have to say in terms of Dark Sun, and we still have one more OVA to go, and I don't know how this is gonna go.
I can't even remember the name of it.
Stars and Hours.
Stars and Hours. And I have a pretty good idea of what this is going to cover, but I'm terrified of figuring out how they're going to cover it. Like, anyone who's played a Shin Megami Tensei game knows what's coming next.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's kind of the thing I'm a bit fearful of. So
I'll say it once, and I'll say again. This is one of the most inconsistent animes I've ever seen.
There's also one other thing. Do you guys remember when we were when they were talking about the DVDs and stuff?
Uh-huh.
And there was going to be a bonus episode on, I think, one of them.
Uh-huh.
That leaves me skeptical. That leaves me very skeptical that we're also not going to get Ren's backstory in Stars and Hours.
Well, not like it would matter, considering that Ren's backstory would have made more sense to be brought up as they had to fight Shido.
My point is that we're pretty much it feels like A1 is using Ren's backstory as the cash grab bait.
Yeah, as like the bonus episode.
If that's the case, that's going to anger me because, like I said, going back to Dot Hack Sign, there was Dot Hack Sign has 2 OVAs. One that is completely based on an irrelevant character, and another which is based after the events of the actual video game itself. I don't know when that OVA came out. I never watched it before, but you know what I'm saying. If they do that, that will piss me off, because then it's like, then why didn't they add this into the actual fucking anime?
Answer, Nelson. Money.
We've got to have Monday.
But, yeah, I think that's it in terms of Dark Sun. Next month will be Stars and Ours, which is the final OVA. And then after that OVA, we're going to be recording our final thoughts on Persona 5 the animation.
Yep. And hopefully we could also talk about whatever the hell that Persona 5R is supposed to be.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah,
there's some debate. Sorry.
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, there's some debate that the Persona R thing will pretty much be will be revealed when Stars and Ours airs.
That's what they said.
Yeah, that is what they said. I believe so anyway.
But anyway,
I'm still hoping it's Persona 5 on Switch, because hell yeah, I want to take that out on the go.
But anyways,
and you can expect a live stream of that from me.
But anyways, with that said, what did you think about our thoughts on the episode? Disagreed with us in any way? Found a comparison that we didn't talk about? Go ahead and leave your comments down below, and we'll discuss it in the comment section. So again, next time we'll see ya with the final OVA, Stars and Ours, and later on after that, our final thoughts on Persona 5 the animation.
And at some point, and I'm only saying it because I still want it to happen, our Sonic Adventure 1 versus Sonic Adventure 2.
Well, let's finish off Persona 5 before we do anything else.
Oh boy.
But anyways, with that said, till next time, guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, along with...
I am Diakami / DM Pwnb 1000.
So that's what you've been saying this whole time?
What?
I always thought you said Steam Pony 3000.
Wait, what?
Oh.
What? You didn't know what I was saying?
Nope.
He says...
Oh.
Do you know the 2 letters I used throughout most of this?
Yes, I do.
How does that sound like Steam?
I don't know.
I see Dean is powered by the Steam engine.
Okay, so it takes me about 10 years to release something cool. Original.
I can't breathe.
It's late at night.
This is FlOrangey, and I was originally bitter, but now I'm dead.
Zach.
This has been Mario Fanboy 15, and I think was officially dead now.
Okay, so apparently I've killed her. And she normally kills me.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Wait, you're not gonna let Nelson sign off?
He did already.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, we just had Cole die, but she'll be back. She'll be back for Stars and Ours.
My final words are going to be, Kingdom Hearts 3 makes more sense than this crap.
Oh. I'm sure Cole's death will be more dignified than Akechi's.
And at least it'll make more sense than Sojiro.
Oh.
Oh, man. Till next time, guys. Take care.
I'm
This was
such
the
an
best
idiot.
Oh, God.
I'm afraid to ask Nelson.
You're still laughing?
Oh,
Oh, my God.
I thought I was bad.
It's official,
And I
viewer.
still am.
It's official, viewers. We have killed Cole.